Hi, I'm Steely Roebuck. This is Something, and I am joined by a couple fantastic guests today. I'm going to have each of you introduce yourself. We are covering the OpenSolaris launch, so why don't we have you guys each introduce yourselves?
Hello everyone, I'm Deborah Williams. I'm the Group Manager for Solaris Portfolio Outbound Marketing here at Sun.
I'm Larry Wake. I'm a Group Manager also in the Solaris organization. I describe myself as utility infielder.
And I'm Jeremy Bonish, and I'm no longer an alcoholic.
So we're here to talk about the OpenSolaris launch. So tell me about that. What are we announcing?
Well, so we are announcing a brand new release of OpenSolaris. Formerly known as, some people may have heard this out in the community, we've had a project out there publicly called Project Indiana. It has now become a production product. New release, OpenSolaris, will be available on May 5th of 2008.
So Project Indiana, I hear that actually the new movie comes out in the middle of the year, right? Is that what that Project Indiana is?
Yes, absolutely. It's Indiana Jones and the Temple Code. It's going to be pretty exciting. Harrison Ford is going to be run over by one of Scott McNeely's giant hairballs of operating system technologies, and this time we're going to get him. That's the plan.
So what is Project Indiana, Larry?
Well, Project Indiana is this thing we started about a year ago when we brought Ian Murdoch on board. And I think probably a lot of the people who are listening to this blog will know who Ian is. He is the Ian of Debian Linux. And what he was wanting to do was make Solaris more accessible, make it more familiar to people who might not have been part of the Solaris ecosystem. So what Project Indiana is about is extending the Solaris ecosystem and making it easier to install, making it easier to get, making it easier to maintain, and making it easier to use. And all those things now go into this new part of our release cycle, which is this every 6-month cadence. We're going to be coming out with a new release of OpenSolaris.
So make sure I'm understanding this. So we've taken Solaris, which is it's an operating system, so it's a fairly monolithic piece of code. We've split it up into individual little modules, and we've released all of those individually, and like Linux, like Red Hat Linux, basically.
Well, it's going to follow a lot of the models that you've seen with Linux out there. The big thing you're going to see is Solaris, when we've traditionally released it, as you said, it's been this big block of code, right? It fits on one DVD. Barely, and what we've done is we've pared that down now so that it gets onto one CD, and then we've put out on the network this thing called the image repository, the package repository, and you can go out now and very rapidly pull in just the bits and pieces you need. We'll sort it out and figure out whether there are any dependencies on that. So for example, if you want to get Firefox, you'll say, okay, we'll bring in Firefox, but Firefox needs this library which you didn't have before, so we'll suck that in. And by the way, there are 13 patches that you needed on the system, so we'll bring those in automatically as well and update the system. So it now becomes a live part of everything that's going on out on the network rather than being just this one chunk that runs over Indiana Jones.
So it's dynamic.
It's
a kind of a dynamic update. So you might install a piece of application, say, and then it will go find the libraries and all of the different things you need to then, and that does it dynamically over the internet?
Yep.
Wow.
And it gets even cooler because we're going to be able to integrate third parties into this as well. So if other companies want to play in the game, or if other free and open source software packages want to integrate into this, we're going to make it really easy for them to do.
And everything you just described is all free.
Yep, absolutely.
And when you say it's supported, what costs?
By the way, this is a pause here. Can I phone a friend? Real quick question. OpenSolaris package repository. Do you have access to that if you don't have a support contract? Okay. Oh.
So, OpenSolaris, is it free?
OpenSolaris, yeah, absolutely free. You have access to the code, you get the download, you get the image repository, the whole deal.
So all of that call, and that's the only answer?
Yeah, that's
I know. Well,
you know,
this comes down to binary, and of course there is optional support available, and that's one thing people want to know, is that this is actually going to be, as I think Deb was talking about earlier, not just something that we toss out there, but it's something that we do provide support for.
Oh, cool.
I like that answer better.
Thank you. It is a much better answer, isn't it?
So then, let's turn to the really sexy stuff in this. Tell us about the products behind this. What would you see would be of interest that people write? What are the products behind this, the technologies that are really, cool, basically.
We all think about this and we look at OpenSolaris and say, what's cool and new in OpenSolaris that we've never seen before? And there's a lot of new cool stuff. And the way I look at it is in kind of 4 categories. Once again, easy to get, and this is kind of a big thing. We look out in the blogosphere, as it will, the Slashdot's and out places like that, and we see the first thing that people say is, how do I get this product? They made it really hard for us to get Solaris. We have to go to this site, we have to click through all this stuff, we have to fill out and register and sign and license and all this crud that we don't want to do. So we said, done. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make it a simple image that you can download and you can redistribute it. So we fully expect this is going to show up on torrents everywhere, which we have not done with Solaris before. So that's number one, is it's easier to get. It's on a live CD image, which means that you can actually bring it up and use it without trashing your existing system. So that's pretty cool and new. It's easy to install. We've put a new installer technology into Solaris. Once again, we've listened to people who have said, gee, you've put in some of the best install technologies that the 20th century has to offer. It's 2008. So we've made it a lot easier now.
To the 20th century.
Yeah, click, click, click. Keep up with me here. So the third thing we've done is we've made it easy to use. And we go out there and we look at Linux, and the code word that Ian has used all this time has been, we want to make this familiar. Familiar to who? Well, Deb said, familiar to people who grew up using Linux, and there are a lot of people out there like that. So what we've done is we've taken the GNU environment, which is what people see when they use Linux, when they use BSD, and we've made that now the forefront of the user experience in Solaris. So this means using the latest, greatest version of GNOME. It means doing simple little things that there are going to be some people here who go, huh? We've made Bash the default shell. There are going to be other people who go, oh right, Bash is now the default shell. And this is a good dividing line between people who have a life and people who don't in many ways. But
so the desktop we see in Sun on our desktop that's GNOME-based interfaces.
Right. So now the big thing that we've done is we've made that the latest and greatest version of GNOME, and this whole package repository system that we've been talking about makes it easy to keep it up to date and make it current, so that people want to live right out on the edge of everything. They can just keep on getting this once an hour or however quickly it's adopted. So it's easy to get, easy to install, easy to use, and then the other thing is what I just said, the image packaging system makes it easy to maintain, because not only can you get updates, but you'll also figure out whether you need something to go with that update to make it all work.
I just hope the gnomes don't attack the GNUs.
Yes, that would be bad. I don't know.
It's alright, rhyme anything.
Time code! No.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Get ourselves some snacks.